Hi, this is Zoe, and this is episode 50. We are talking about employee engagement. Why? Because it continues to be a problem. Gallup produced some stats recently on surveys between 2011 and 2016 about U.S. employee engagement. And I think it's fair to say it's replicated across Australia too. And you know what? Not much is changing. On average, 2 of every 3 people are not engaged at work. This is rubbish, and we need to change it. So that's what we're focusing on today.
Welcome to the Zoe Routh Leadership Podcast, your source of strategies and insights to make you a better leader. Influence, improve, inspire.
Yeah, employee engagement. It's a buzzword and it's a hot topic. How do we get people actually interested and motivated to be at work and do a good job? And I find it amazing that this is actually a topic. When I go into organizations and meet with teams, I find universally people are committed to doing a good job. They're not there just to roll the arm over and to put in time to get a paycheck. I think they may be browbeaten into that condition eventually, which leads to the disengagement principle. So I think motivation, individual motivation, and a desire to do good work is not the problem when it comes to employee engagement. There's lots of other contributing factors, and it's one of the reasons why we're going to explore this at our upcoming Edge of Leadership Unconference in Canberra in March 2018. I am passionately interested in helping people actually enjoy the work that they do and the people they do it with. And as leaders, we have a significant role in helping that come to life for folks, for ourselves and for our teams. And so we're going to look at the different aspects of employee engagement when we get to the Unconference. Ahead of that, we also have, just as a little announcement piece, we've got the Leadership Intensive happening in Tasmania. Yay, in a couple of weeks. 2 spots left on that. Very excited to do that. We're bringing together a very small, intimate group. We're going to explore what's holding us back in our leadership and what we need to focus on to break through those barriers and become boundless leaders ourselves and bring our teams along with us. The next mastermind, it's my 12-month high-level program. That kicks off in February. There are 3 spots left on that program. That also is going to kick off in Tassie. So I look forward to spending a bit more time in Tasmania with some amazing people who want to kick some major ass next year in a very positive way. Okay, what else? Let's get into it. So this idea of employee engagement, when I boil it down, one of the key things I want to share with you is a piece of work I've been working on called the engagement wheel. And when I thought about how do we start to shift attitudes, how do we start to create the space where people feel engaged, welcome, safe at work, what can we do as leaders for ourselves first and foremost, and then for the folks that we engage with? And the engagement wheel comes out of my meditation practice. I trained with the Bright Path. It's called brightpath.com. It's a meditation practice which is agnostic, so it's non-religious. And it's based on thousands of years of meditation practice and tradition. It is also a very mechanical process. And when you learn it, they teach you 4 attitudes, if you like, or techniques on how to slip into the process of meditation so that you can reap all the benefits of it, such as feeling more joyful, feeling more peaceful, feel more calm, feel more centered. So some biochemical reasons to do it. And then there's some emotional reasons to do it. And then there's certainly some advanced spiritual ones. However, stress relief, feeling centered and calm and focused and joyful, that's accessible to anyone, no matter what your religious beliefs. So the 4 attitudes, if you like, focus on 4 key emotions. And these are appreciation, gratitude, love, and compassion. And the techniques take you through all that. Now, I made a vow not to share those specific techniques because it's an experiential process they take you through so that you can fully embody how they operate for you and you get on-the-spot personal feedback as you do it. So you have to do a course to get the full techniques. The attitudes themselves are universal, and this is what I'm applying to the team engagement concept. So when I was thinking about what is a leadership practice that people could adopt that would start to build this sense of safety and community and appreciation, which is one of the core elements in engagement at work. In fact, one of the other statistics I read is that 55% of employees would leave to go to another company if there was greater appreciation and recognition in that other company. So this is actually a core human trait that we need to deal with. And another article I read this morning showed that appreciation or feedback is disproportionate to what the employee is actually doing. So what I mean by that is that the focus on feedback with the manager is often on the small sliver of what's going wrong, as opposed to the majority of what the person is doing right. So that is very demoralizing, I think, when all you get in terms of engagement with your manager is criticism. That's when they bother to give you feedback. It should be the reverse. The majority of the engagement with a manager should be highlighting and emphasizing what is going well, so that when things don't go so well, it's easier to deal with it because you have all these deposits in your emotional bank account around giving positive feedback. So as leaders, we need to focus on recognizing the good stuff, as well as dealing with the stuff that needs to be dealt with. So criticism and constructive feedback also. So the engagement wheel is about setting us up for success by putting the majority of our focus day to day on the positives. So the engagement wheel, and I will post a graphic of that on the show notes, which you can find at zoerouth.com/podcast/engagement wheel. The wheel goes like this. So thinking about those 4 attitudes as it pertains to individual and team engagement, we start with appreciation. And there's 4 different layers where you can focus appreciation. There's appreciation of self. Oh yeah, leaders often fail to do this piece. The appreciation of self and what you're doing well. Appreciation of colleagues, appreciation of team, appreciation of organization. So you can start with the center and move outwards is how the engagement wheel actually works. And so when you sort of start the daily practice of, okay, what can I appreciate about myself, my colleagues, or just one other colleague, my team, and my organization, when you do this practice, you start to actually feel good. You start to feel relief. You start to feel just a little bit of, oh, that was nice. So you start with appreciation. The next higher level emotion is gratitude. So starting with appreciation is a door opener, especially if you've got your cranky pants on, because it's very difficult to leap into gratitude if you're feeling cranky and hard done by. So start with appreciation, and you can generally find something to appreciate. If you can't find something across each of those 4 layers, find something in one of the layers. Even if it's outside of that, it's like, I can't think of anything to appreciate about myself, others, team, or organization. Maybe I can appreciate the fact that I'm breathing today. And I love Tony Robbins, his early work. One of the key stories I heard him tell is that he met a gentleman who was consistently happy. And he said, "What's your secret to happiness?" And he said, "Every day I get up and I'm above ground, it's a good day." So his benchmark, his conditions, his requirements for happiness were pretty elemental. If I'm waking up and I'm still breathing, hell yeah, it's a good day. Whereas other people have all sorts of other conditions that they need in their own mind in order to create that sense of happiness, i.e., I need to have X amount of body fat, I need to be earning X amount of income, have this many clients, I need to be hitting this many goals. And we create this sort of barriers to our own happiness because of these rules. So if you have a low threshold to happiness, that is going to serve you better. So I love this. The low threshold is I wake up breathing, it's a good start. So appreciation, you can start there. From there, you can tick over into self, others, team, organization. So appreciation is the first component in the engagement wheel. And you can do this for yourself as a daily practice. And you can also incorporate this into your team meetings where you could go around the table and have people do this. So you start with appreciation. The next one is gratitude. And people have been banging on about gratitude journals for yonks, and sometimes it's not that easy to get into gratitude, hence starting with appreciation. However, so if you start with appreciation, move on to gratitude. What are you grateful for about yourself, colleague, team, organization? Who can you thank is actually a really good question to ask also. So what you can be grateful for is sort of on the receiving end, and then you can express gratitude too. Who can I thank? And that's incredibly powerful, because you know what? It feels really good to thank somebody for something that they've done that you've benefited from. So that's the gratitude component. Now let's deal with the higher level one, the next level up, and that's love. The 4-letter word that doesn't often appear in contemporary workplaces. And it ought to, because it is such a powerful thing. When you love yourself at work, you show up with such a different kind of energy. And when you love your colleagues and you love your team and you love your organization, that grows into passion and conviction and determination. It's a very powerful emotion, and yet it gets dismissed and brushed aside and swept to the carpet as being wishy-washy or airy-fairy or fuzzy-wuzzy or fluffy-muffy, whatever you want to call it. And love is, I think, one of the most useful emotions we can have in leadership. So how do we express this? Here's a starting sentence you could incorporate into your engagement practices. I love what you did here, and you can give feedback around this. Susan, I love what you did with this particular project. I love how you engaged on this particular idea. I love how you. So you can express love that way about somebody's behavior, if not directly to the person. You can, because people are going to find this difficult, I think, if they haven't practiced this. What you can also use is another starting sentence. What I love about you, Susan, is. What I love about this team is. What I love about this organization is. What I love about myself, and this is probably the one people are going to choke on. What I love about myself, because it sounds arrogant until you say it with humility. And you could say something like, what I love about myself is that I'm continually trying to do my best. And I may not always get it right. Yet, what I hold as something that I value and I love about myself is that I will keep going. And when we claim our strengths like that, it's incredibly powerful. So I encourage you to have a go and practice that. The 4th segment in the engagement wheel is compassion. Compassion is an amplified version of love. So I think it's important to make the distinction between empathy and compassion. Empathy is, I see you're hurting, I'm going to hurt too. I empathize with that. I feel bad. I understand how you're feeling because I'm feeling bad too. Now, sympathy is sort of a lower level tier. So it goes sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So from lower level to higher level emotions, or constructive emotional states, I should say. Sympathy is, I feel sorry for you. I see you're in pain and I feel bad about that. Empathy is, I see that you're in pain and I can feel your pain. Compassion is, I can see and appreciate your pain, and if I can, I will assist you to do what you can to alleviate your pain. So it's a proactive, constructive way of helping others deal with their pain. So how do we express compassion? Start with ourselves. I think also that is, again, the hardest area to start with. How do we have compassion for ourselves? And it starts with not bagging ourselves out. I hear people say all the time, oh, I'm such an idiot, or I stuffed that up, and they beat up on themselves. This is not showing compassion to self. So when we start to monitor our language and how we talk to ourselves about ourselves, if we thought about if we took that language and talked to other people like the way we talk to ourselves, we would be locked up and held up for bullying and harassment, I reckon. We are very hard on ourselves. So start with showing some compassion for yourself. If you stuffed up, it's okay, as long as you learn from it. So be compassionate in how you treat yourself with your stuff-ups, and don't linger in shame and guilt and remorse. Learn from it, make amends, apologize, move on. apply what you've learned to new relationships. So showing compassion to yourself is really important. On a day-to-day engagement practice with teams, you can ask this centering question: who can I help today? Who can I be of support today? How can I show compassion to my fellow colleagues? And even if it's just a moment of, wow, they're really struggling here, maybe I could offer to help them with something. What can I do to support them? And it doesn't mean rescuing them, because that's the danger if we're compassionate, is that we just want to go in and save the day. We don't want to do that. It's more about expressing concern, compassion, and support, and doing what you can to assist them to help themselves. It could be as simple as helping them move some table and chairs in a meeting room. That's an act of compassion. I see you've got a job here, let me help. Or it could be checking in on them. I understand you've got a lot of big deadlines right now. You look a bit stressed. What's going on? That act of caring is an act of compassion. Now, can you imagine what kind of team, what kind of workplace, and how you might feel at work if you use the engagement wheel on a daily basis with yourself and with your team, with appreciation, gratitude, love, and compassion? I would love to hear your thoughts on this, and I would love to see you experiment with this and see what happens for you. I know for me that this daily meditation practice using my Ishaya meditation techniques has changed how I show up. I'm way more centered, way more calm, way more emotionally resilient than ever before. So I think if we do this as a collective, this will magnify across our business experience. So shoot me an email. Let me know how you go, zoe@innercompass.com.au. Leave a comment on the podcast page or leave me a review in iTunes. That would be awesome. In the meantime, live well, lead well.